3 months after we pledged our lives to one another. My wife spoke words that cut through the fragile bond we shared. "I'm exhausted by this marriage," she said, her tone icy and distant, as if our sacred promises were a passing trend she'd already discarded. My name is Daniel, and I had believed I'd found in her a companion to face life's challenges together. Instead, I stood before a woman who seemed to see our union as a burden she was desperate to shed. Her name is Emily, and our journey began 2 years earlier at a friend's birthday party. She was captivating, quick with her wit, and full of life, the kind of person who could brighten any room and make everyone feel like they orbited her. I was quieter, grounded by nature, but she insisted that was what pulled her toward me. Our love story unfolded rapidly, and those around us swore we were an ideal pair. The early days of our marriage seemed joyful, or so I convinced myself. I'd rise early to make her breakfast, tuck thoughtful notes into her bag, and plan impromptu weekend escapes. Yet, the warmth of our newlywed days faded quickly. Emily began brushing off my efforts with dismissive smirks, calling my gestures over the top when I tried to spark joy in her. One evening, after I'd prepared a dinner with a table adorned by softly glowing candles, hoping to reignite our closeness, we sat in heavy silence. She scrolled through her phone, ignoring my attempts to spark a conversation. Then came the words that slashed through my heart. "I'm already exhausted by this marriage." I stared, my mind racing to process her meaning. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice trembling. Without looking up from her screen, she replied, "It's not exciting anymore. I don't want to feel confined. I expected something different." Her cold detachment hurt more than any heated argument could. It was as if our marriage, our vows, held no value, as if they'd faded in her heart. My chest tightened, a mix of shock and fury stirring inside me. I had poured my love, trust, and commitment into her, but she spoke of our bond as if it were a tedious task she yearned to escape. That night, I lay sleepless, replaying every moment of our relationship, searching for signs I might have missed. A harsh realization took root. Emily hadn't changed suddenly. This was her true self, and I'd been too smitten to notice. The next morning, I found her in the kitchen, sipping coffee, engrossed in her phone as if her words hadn't broken me. She didn't acknowledge my presence, offering no glance or warmth. For a brief moment, I wondered if I'd imagined her confession. But then she looked up and said, "Daniel, don't look at me like that." I was honest. "I'm not happy and I won't fake it." Her words weren't just blunt. They were sharp, slicing through me. There was no attempt to repair what was broken, no wish to preserve what we'd created. It felt as though she'd already left, abandoning me in the wreckage of what I thought was our lifelong promise. In the days that followed, I observed her closely. She began staying out late, claiming she was with friends. When I asked why she didn't include me, she snapped, "I need my own space, Daniel. Marriage doesn't mean I'm tethered to you." The truth became clear. Emily wasn't tired of marriage itself. She was tired of being married to me. Instead of owning her feelings, she used cutting words as weapons, hoping I'd end things to spare her the guilt. But I wasn't one to be manipulated. Though naturally calm, I wasn't oblivious. Each harsh comment, each dismissive look, only strengthened my determination. I was finished being the man she diminished. One evening, I returned home earlier than she expected. She hadn't anticipated my arrival. As I opened the door, her laughter rang from the living room. She was on the phone saying, "Honestly, I don't know how much longer I can take this. Daniel's sweet, but he's so boring." Marriage was supposed to be exciting, not suffocating. I stood motionless in the hallway, her words striking me like blows. That moment severed the last shred of hope I'd held on to. She wasn't just thinking these thoughts. She was voicing them, ridiculing our marriage to someone else as if it were a petty joke. I walked to the bedroom, opened the closet, and gazed at her neatly hung clothes. For the first time since this began, I felt neither anger nor grief, just clarity. If Emily was weary of our marriage, I'd make it easy for her. I pulled a suitcase from the shelf, removed her clothes from their hangers, and began packing. When Emily returned that night, her suitcase waited by the door. She walked in, her usual careless grin in place, until she saw the bag. Her face paled. "What's this?" she asked, her laugh nervous. I stood calmly, hands in my pockets. You said you're exhausted by marriage, Emily. I heard you. I'm giving you what you want, your freedom. Her grin faded, replaced by shock. Wait, Daniel, I didn't mean it that way. I was just frustrated. You're making too much of this. I shook my head. No, Emily. I heard you clearly, not just tonight, but every time you brush me off, every cruel word, every night you stayed out late. You've been saying it all along. I just refused to hear it. But I'm done ignoring it. She stepped closer, her voice softening. So what? You're just going to throw everything away? After all we've shared? The irony nearly made me laugh. She was the one who treated our marriage like a shackle, a cage she needed to escape. I'd done everything to bring her joy, but she couldn't summon the respect to honor what we had. I'm not throwing anything away, I said, my voice steady. You already did that. I'm just following through on what you began. For a moment, she stood still, torn between defiance and fear. Then she scoffed. Fine. If that's what you want, goodbye. She grabbed the suitcase, pulled it to the door, and slammed it shut behind her. The silence that followed was deep, but for the first time in months, it wasn't heavy, it was liberating. I sat on the couch, my heart still pounding. Yet I felt lighter. She tried to break me with her indifference, but instead, she'd freed me from someone who never truly cherished me. The next morning, I woke to a quiet house. No tension, no undercurrent of contempt, just peace. I brewed coffee, opened a window, and let the fresh air fill the room. For the first time in ages, I could breathe freely. Looking back, I have no regrets. Sometimes, the most painful words reveal the clearest truths. Emily said she was exhausted by marriage, and in the end she was right. She was exhausted by being my wife. But I was done begging for someone's love. Goodbye wasn't just for her, it was for me too. Farewell to the man who tolerated her cruelty, to the marriage that was never truly whole, and welcome to a future where I finally chose myself.